So, I'm gonna have to ask a quick question, and hopefully I'm not the only one to think this, and I don't know if that's what the animators are trying to make the scene look like, but Tatra, or little Fujita, and, you know, the scene, like the mental image and all that of Shinatsu's mind, did anyone else think that Tatra was really creepy? Like, he was extremely creepy. At first, he was an adorable little kid. I'm like, oh, this is cute. Like, he's a little kid and all that, being very innocent. I'm like, he's very cute. Even seeing Chinatsu that was also younger in her, like, mental state, like, in her mind, but she was also a little bit taller than him, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And at first, it was just cute, and I loved the reaction. But then, as it continued, every time she would open the door and all that for Tatra, like, kick it, you know, in, he was like, open this door. And then, you know, she had to kick it in again. And it just got creepier and creepier and creepier. And I'm like, yo, this right here is just disturbing. And I don't know if the writers or, you know, the animators and all that were trying to make it presented like that. But it was just very creepy. And I'm like, that's very, very weird. But anyways, though, let's talk about what that meant. So, Tatra, in the mental state of Chinatsu, and she was thinking about it, Tatra would, like, open this door. She's like, why don't you open the door? And, you know, he would open the door, but he would leave it, like, you know, that little bit open. He would just crack it, basically. And Chinatsu got upset, and so she would charge in and just fully open the door or kick it. And this perfectly represents, you know, Tatra's character. He is someone that always allows the girl to lead. Like, he does a couple of things, but then he waits for the girl to move, and then he follows in with after them, trying to make sure he properly adjusts for them. And so in this case, it perfectly displays what type of character Tatra is. When he barely cracked the door open, basically, it's how he's always handled it. How he, you know, always was like more like a follow than a lead. And when he barely opened the door, Chinatsu would go in and slam the door open because she was a lead. She was used to leading, and so in this case, she was being very aggressive, and Tatra, even though he was slightly aggressive in certain ways, he was very passive, and like I said, exact opposites. Not going to get into what I've explained before, but anyways, though, with that mental image, it was showcasing what type of personality Tatra had, and Chinatsu was finally starting to get a grasp on what type of person he was. For instance, he was someone that always allowed Chinatsu to do what she wanted. He always allowed her to lead or open the door because he realized that she was someone that was used to doing something like that. He was trying to be nice to her. And in this case, though, when she constantly opens the door, keeps opening the door, she realizes that no longer will work. She can't just forcibly pry open this door and get to the next area because it just will not work. There needs to be something done. There needs to be cohesion. They need to, you know, work together and be a proper pair. And so when you see, eventually when she opens up into this big, you know, pitch dark room and all that, and there's like nothing there, it basically represents something that she's reached a dead end. She no longer can continue just bashing these doors open. She needs to be able to figure out a way where these two can work together, have perfect balance. And that's what this episode was. To kind of explain it with a quick summary, if one word could describe this episode: balance. That's what it was. Chinatsu learning how Tatra is as a person. Because if we go back a couple episodes ago, Chinatsu is, you know, asking Tatra, like, I don't even know you. I don't even understand you. Like, she couldn't even understand what Tatra was thinking, understand him at all as a person. And so this is what was going on. In that, you know, mental image, all that, what she was thinking about, she was finally getting a grasp on what person he was, or what type of person he was, and understanding how he moves. And this is how she was able to come to this conclusion in the first place, which is not what, you know, Hyodo wanted to do in the first place, but he actually opened the door for it to happen. And so let me explain. So basically, as we know, with the events of the last episode, you know, Hyodo, he gave, you know, Tatra a massage. And in this case, he opened up his muscles to where he felt more flexible. And this is what athletes do. And I mean, if you go for stretches or whatever, you do a morning practice, you know, people do this. It's just a common thing. Now, in this case, probably a little bit more extreme, but it's still a thing. And so he got stretched out to where he felt a little bit more, you know, relaxed. And in this case, he was able to move a lot faster, and he wasn't used to it. It made him feel like he was like a wave or something, and because of that, he was able to react like that. Like, as soon as like a certain scene to when he needed to move, he would react. Instead of having like a sluggish delay, which would take like a second or two, he instantly reacted, and that was showcasing how he was much different thanks to what Hyodo did to him. And in turn, Chinatsu, she was starting to get, you know, she was slowing down. Like, she was nowhere near as fast as Tatra anymore, because Tatra was actually overtaking her because he was able to react very quickly. Now, let's back up a little bit more. As we know, a couple episodes ago, we found out that the rhythm of dancing is very different. For instance, Shinatsu is a very quick-paced dancer. Like, let's say she feels like she should, like, stop or something at maybe 10 seconds in. Totoro is someone that thinks he should stop maybe 15 to 17 seconds in. And that's kind of the difference. They had a different, like, tone with their dance. They danced a different rhythm, and in that case, this is what happened there. With Hyodo, you know, loosening him up, his body was no longer sluggish anymore, and he was moving very quickly, but in turn, moving way too fast compared to Chinatsu. And so, in that moment, he realized, I need to focus on myself. It's not something he normally does. Totoro, as we know, he is someone that focuses on everyone else. He focuses on the person he is dancing with, for instance, Chinatsu, or, you know, other people he's already danced with prior to this. And so, basically, someone has never really paid attention to his own dance. He's always, like, focusing on the person that he's dancing with. And so when he was thinking about how he was moving too fast, it messed up his overall mental state. He was no longer in a safe zone. He was actually thinking about himself, not even worrying about what Chinatsu was doing. He was worrying about how he can move properly. And so in that turn, basically, he no longer was acting like a follow. He was actually acting like a true lead. He was moving, and Chinatsu couldn't keep up because she was so used to a certain way, or him focusing on her. In turn, she realized she had to keep up with him. Like, she was the one that now really needed to follow. And so that is what caused that mental image. Basically, thanks to Hyodo making it to where Totoro wasn't focusing on her anymore, made it to where she realized that she needed to focus on herself and better herself, so they both realized how each other fought, and now that's what caused that mental image to where they were able to open up the door together. They put their hands together and pushed open the door. And you can't really call it a lead or a follow. You can't call that. You can't call what the dance are doing that at all, because they're both leads. They're both leads, they're both follows. That is what just happened in that ending sequence of the episode. They are no longer just doing one certain role, they're doing both each other's roles, which is what I've talked about a couple episodes ago, that most likely could possibly happen. You have two leads basically battling it out for who's in control, but now they're actually leading together, but in their own way. They're opening the door together. So, very good stuff. Overall, a very good scene. I love the message. I love how much it shows that Chinatsu has developed and, you know, Totoro has developed. And it's really cool. It's a really cool way to kind of depict this episode. Gotta give props there. I mean, that scene was absolutely phenomenal. Just the entire door scene was probably the highlight of this week's episode. Easily the best scene. The best scene of this episode. So yeah, that's about it though. How do you feel about everything that happened? How do you feel about the flashback? How do you feel about Chizuru and all that? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. So I love you guys. You have a wonderful, wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.